Hey everyone, good to reconnect again. Building on from the episode last week about the need to have an explicit backlog of things that we do and the exercise of having to remove something that we're doing today if we want to add something new that we want to change. And today I want to share a bit about how I think about habits and why they're hard to change. And first to re-emphasize that we really can't start new habits if we have conflicting existing habits. We cannot add, we must replace. And we need to identify the habits that we're practicing today. Because most of the time these habits are in our subconscious. We don't think about them, we're not aware, we just do it because it's programmed inside us. And there's a part deep inside our brain called the basal ganglia. And this is where we do a lot of things habitually or instinctively. So it's not easy identifying our existing habits by our own self. And that's why I've benefited from working with coaches and mentors who work with me regularly and understand my existing life patterns. They help me spot things that I do that I'm not conscious of. I'm not aware that I do these things because it's automatic, it's habitual. So to replace a habit, we need to first understand that there are three parts that make a habit. And I admit this is a simplification. First, there's the trigger. Then there's the action that we take, usually subconsciously. And finally, there's a reward that we feel that drives that action. So to replace a habit, we need to first start by maintaining the same trigger and reward, but try new actions that may be more helpful and find ones that can replace existing unhelpful actions. One example that some of us might be able to relate to is when we find this habit of having an afternoon snack. Usually around 3:30 in the afternoon, we feel a bit tired and peckish, and we habitually start making our way to the cafeteria to hang out with our friends and colleagues there, have some fried noodles, the curry puff, and the teh tarik, which is probably not helpful for that well-intentioned diet. And so simply telling someone to stop snacking doesn't work if we don't recognize the triggers and rewards and offer other alternative actions to override that existing habit. So for some, the trigger may be this feeling of mid-afternoon fatigue, and the reward may not necessarily just be satisfying the hunger. Often it's not about hunger, but about social connections. We just want to be able to take a break and catch up with colleagues over some good gossip, and we're re-energized back at work. So if we identify the trigger and reward, we can experiment with new actions. This time around, set the alarm at 3:15 p.m. and when that alarm triggers, instead of automatically going to the cafeteria, we tell ourselves, I'm going to go over to the other part of the office, hang out with other people, gossip about stuff, get my social connection drive, and come back to work feeling refreshed. And maybe you might find that you're no longer hungry. And so that unhelpful snack action has been replaced by a more or less harmful action towards our goal of a better diet management, but satisfying that same reward. So in some cases, there may still be an element of hunger. So maybe instead of going to the cafeteria, you bring some healthier nuts and snacks to your friends in the other part of the office. So there's no one-size-fits-all to habit changes. Everyone has their personal triggers, actions, and rewards. But hopefully by framing it, we can be more conscious of these different elements and start to experiment and iterate with different actions that are going to be more helpful towards our goals, riding on that same initial trigger and the same reward. So if you want to know more, I'd recommend you read The Power of Habit by Charles Duhigg. I certainly benefited from it. Good luck!